So uh, we have started with the deadlock handling methods, right? So I think we have completed two of the method. Now today we'll just go with the deadlock avoidance and the last one is deadlock detection and recovery. Okay. So I'll directly just open this whiteboard. Okay. So yesterday we have seen one that resource allocation graph also. So this is the third method we can see. Deadlock avoidance. Now see, in deadlock avoidance, so that main thing is we need to protect that system from the deadlock. So before just entering that process or that cycle into the deadlock state, so we need to avoid that situation. So how we can avoid that situation? So see, if suppose we don't have any information about the processes, it means the which resources that process required, how many resources that process required, and any. So in that case, we cannot avoid that situation. But suppose in advance, if we have that the requirement of that process or that information about the process, so how many resources that process hold, how many the resources again that process want, so in that case we can do something, right? So if such kind of information is there, then we can do something. So it means in advance we need to tell that system, so these are the requirements of the processes, that these are the resources that process have allocated, and these are the processes that process needs. So if we provide this system this information to the system, then we can avoid this case, right? So here first it means first every process needs to declare so maximum number of resources that it may need. Getting my point? So every process needs to declare first how many maximum resources that process required. So that process needs to declare into the system, so that we can do something and we can avoid that deadlock situation. Also, whatever that deadlock avoidance algorithm we are using, so that algorithm should dynamically check the resource allocations, and whatever that resource allocation that never just go into the circular wait condition. So that algorithm whatever we are using, so that algorithm every time must check that the circular wait condition should not be there, right? Now see that main fact or basic fact is what here we'll see here, when we can say that system is in deadlock condition and when it is not in deadlock condition. So basic fact is, what that basic fast first, if suppose that system is in safe, right? Safe state means if every process will execute its the execution successfully, then we can say that system is in safe state. So if a system is in safe state, then what we can say? Then we can say no deadlock. And suppose if that system is not in the safe mode, then we can say there is a possibility of deadlock. So same thing I'll just write here. If a system is in unsafe state, unsafe state, then what we can say, there is a possibility of deadlock. Then we can say possibility of deadlock. So it means, so if suppose that system is in unsafe state, so the possibility is there of the deadlock. So if you want to avoid the situation, then we need to keep that system in safe mode. You can see here. So if we keep that system in safe mode, then we can say that deadlock situation will be avoided. So here, so we need to ensure that a system will never enter into the unsafe state. That we need to ensure. If we ensure this, then that situation will not come here, right? So to avoid this, what we can say? So ensure that a system will never enter in a unsafe state. Then we can avoid this the deadlock, right? So here, if you see, there are some algorithms. We'll see these algorithms. So using these algorithms, we can avoid this situation. So see, in resource allocation graph, we have seen, suppose any the resource is there, like this one is a resource, right? So this resource will hold sometimes one the instance, and suppose this resource is there, this resource will hold the multiple instances, we can say, right? So based on this is a single instance, we can say, and here multiple instances. So based on these two, we can select that algorithm to avoid that the deadlock. So here, if you are suppose having the every resource single instant, that we can say, for this we'll use wait for graph. This one, these algorithms we can use, and if suppose that multiple instances are there for the processes, then we can use Banker's algorithm, right? So these are the two algorithms we can use. So whatever is this wait for graph, this algorithm is the process and everything is very similar to your resource allocation graph. Only here, when we just go with the wait for graph algorithms, here in that the graph, we don't represent that resources, right? So one example I'll just show you. First we'll see the wait for graph, or we can say single instance, the one example I'll just show you that how to represent that wait for graph. So if suppose you have that resource allocation graph, one example is like, suppose P1 we have, it is the holding resource R1, then P2 here R2, Suppose this is a resource allocation graph, right? So we have studied this resource allocation graph. So how we can just convert this resource allocation graph to weight for graph. So as I said, for graph, we don't show or the show this the resources, because why we don't show this, because every resource is having single instance. So that is obvious. If suppose that process P1 is waiting for the resource which is held by the P2, so it means there is a single instance and that P1 is just requesting for that, right? So here, how many processes are there? P1, P2, P3 and P4 we can say. Suppose we'll take first P1. So from P1 you can see here, from P1 we have this and this. So P1 is requesting R1 and that R1 is held by the P2. So it means, so instead of showing this one, we can simply say P2 like, sorry. So here P2 and that P2 is like this, arrow is like this. Okay. So it is waiting for the resource which is held by the P2. And what about the P2? P2 you can see here, from here to here. So this R3 is not required to represent into this. Suppose that P3 is there. So this will be represented like this. And about the P4, you can see from P4 again, P4 to P3. So this one, P4 to P3 and P1 to P4, this one. So this is nothing but wait for graph. This one. The other things are same. If cycle is there, then cycle is not. Cycle is a necessary condition, but not the sufficient condition. So whatever the things we have sent into this, the resource allocation graph, that same things we can say here. So because this will use to detect and they avoid the deadlock here. So whatever the things we have learned into this, that same thing will consider for this also, right? So this is a resource allocation graph. Or one more example, if you want, I can give you, but I think it's the sufficient one example, right? And here, if you consider this, so P1, P2, P3, P4. So can we say this would be in deadlock state? Because if you see here, that P3 is not waiting for anyone. So if we execute that first P3 here, then whatever the resource hold by this P3, that is R2, so that resource can be used either by P2 or P4. And once either of this P2 or P4 gets executed, then whatever resource it is releasing, that will be used by P1, right? So it means here that cycle is there, but we can say no deadlock. You can see here. So other example we can consider, that cycle is there, but that the again the deadlock is there, cycle and deadlock both things. So this example is for no deadlock, right? So this is the thing. Now see, of we'll go with the other one, but see here what we said, if that system is in safe state, so no deadlock. So we try to keep that system into the safe state. That is the thing. Now here we'll just go for the Banker's algorithm. So, or we can take one example for this also. I'll just take the one example for this again so that you will understand here, right? For the safe state. Then we'll go for the Banker's algorithm. lectures. Sorry. So suppose that I'll just write that example here. Suppose, oh, 1 minute. I'll show you that in PPT. I'll not write that complete. I'll just tell you this. Suppose we can select there are 4 processes, right? And total instances are, we can say, total are 12 instances. We can say. So that given is this, and also processes max need. So here you can see it is the giving that the max need and current allocation also. Current allocation. Right? This is given here. So P1, P2, P3 and P4. So 8, 9, 5 and 3. 3, 4, 2 and 1. Right? So we need to find the safe sequence, and also we need to say whether this system will enter into deadlock or what, right? So question would be, what is system safe? If so, then what is the sequence? What is the safe sequence? Right? So this is the problem. Here we can see only single resource is there. So that's why I'm just taking this example, and that when we go for the Banker's algorithm, so there are multiple resources are there. So here that single resource. Now we'll see how to solve this and how to find whether this system will enter into the deadlock state or not. And if suppose that system is safe, then what would be the sequence of execution of these processes? P1, P2, P3, P4 like this, right? So here, if we know total number of resources, these are given here. These are the 12. We can say instances or resource instances. So here, total number of resource instances, how much? These are given 12. See, we have 12 instances in our hand, and how many the instances are used by the processes, all these 4 processes. So we can say that is the allocation. We can see P1 is allocated with 3, P2 4, then this 2 and this, right? So whatever is this total of this allocation, it means that is already used by the processes. So how much is total? 3 plus 4, 7 plus these 3, 10. So we can say the total used resource instances. So how many? These are the 10. So just keep in your mind, total availables are 12 and these are the currently used by the processes. So how many resources are there left in our hand? So 10, 12 minus 10, whatever is that figure, that number of resource instances we have in our hand, we can say, right? So here, how many resources in left are left? We can say 10, sorry, 12 minus 10. These are the two. So we have only two resources in our hand. And with this, we need to check whether that system is in safe mode or not. And if so, then what is the sequence of the execution, right? Now we'll see one by one. You can see here. I just minimize this. The first will start from this process P1, then P2, P3 like this, right? So first we'll check whether that P1 will execute successfully or not. So here for process P1, suppose for process P1, you can say, what is the need of the process P1? So the need is this 8. Allocated are 3, but need is 8, right? And the how many availables are with us? So only two the instances we have in our hand, right? So here we can say P1 need is 8, need is 8, and available with us are 2. So we can give this 2 units to the P1 process and we'll check whether that process will execute or not, right? So therefore we can see if 2 units given to P1, then what will happen here? So see, P1 is having currently 3 resources and we are giving 2. So whatever is the total, that number will be the total allocation. But that whatever is that number is it satisfying with this side because the P1 requirement is 8, right? So here we can say 3 are there. Here you can see here 3 are there and we are giving 2. So how much? That becomes 5, right? Now you need to check that process P1 is executing successfully or not. So requirement is 8 here you can see. So that is this number 5 should be greater than or equals with this maximum need. You can see here this one. So actually this 8 is the smaller, sorry, 8 is greater and this one is the smaller. That's why we cannot say that this will execute. So we'll say incomplete, right? So this process will not execute, right? Now same thing, we'll just go for the P2. Now we'll just give the resources to two resources to the P2 and you can see here that P2 uh, allocated is 4 and that need is 9, right? So for the P2, we'll suppose we are giving the 2 units to the P2. So we'll see 4 plus 2. See, I am writing directly. I am not writing this statement and this statement. You just understand this. For the P2, I am giving the 2 and the allocations are 4. So that becomes 6. So we can say that 6 must be greater than or equals to the maximum need, that is 9, right? So this is 9. So this is also not true. So we can say incomplete. This is again incomplete. Same thing will apply for the P3. So what is the need and allocation of P3? So 5 is the need and 2 is the allocations. So we can say 2 plus 2, these are the 4. That is, this 4 must be greater than or equals to 5. But again, this condition is false. So we can say again this is incomplete. So this is not executing. Now we'll just give that same two resources to P4. So what is need of this P4? Need is 3 and the allocated are 1. So we can say 1 plus our 2. So this becomes 3, and that is, they see the need is 3, right? So we can say 3 is less than or equals to 3. So this is true. We can say this is true. So complete. So this is executed. Now we can see here P4 is executed. This one. Now see, once that P4 is executed, see here, suppose this P4 is getting executed. After execution of this P4, so whatever the resources it hold, these will be released. So how many hold? So one is hold. So this resource will be released by this P4, right? So we can write here. So P4 will release allocated resources or instance, can say, that is 1. Okay. So now total available, how many? We have previously 2 we were there, and this 1. So 2 plus 1, this is total. Now we have 3 resources in our hand, right? So this is the important one, this one. Now same thing again, we need to repeat it because this P4 is executed. Now we'll go for the P1. Now again, we'll just give that 3 units to the P1, right? So need of that P1 is what? That need is 8 and currently allocated are 3. You can see here, need is 8 and currently allocated are 3. So here we'll write here, so 3 which are allocated by the process, and we have 3 in our hand, so that becomes 6. But this 6 is not greater than or equals to how much? This is 8. You can see here that 8, this one, right? So what we can do here, this is again incomplete. So this is not executed. Now same to for the P2. So P2 need is 9 and we have in our hand 4. Sorry, 4 are allocated. So 4 plus 3, that becomes 7. And again, this is not true. So we can say incomplete. Right? Now we'll go to the P3. So P3 is, see, you can see here that need is 5 and allocated are 2. So here 2 plus 3, so that becomes 5, and this 5 is greater than or equals to 5. So we can say here, sorry, we can say here true and complete, this one. So now P3 is executed. So after just executing this P3, so P3 will release how many resources that P3 have? So 2 resources it is having. You can see here, these are the 2 resources. So the 2 will be released, 3 instances. So total would be previously 3 and this release 3. So total is 6. So now this is in our hand. That's 6. Okay. Is this correct? How many P3? Sorry, P3 is having the two allocated 2, right? So this is not 6. This is release 2 and this is 5, right? Now the executed are P3 and P4. Now P1, P2 are left. Again, we'll just go to P1. So P1 allocation is 3 and need is 8. So we know we have 5 in our hand. So 3 plus 5, which is 8. That is 8 is greater than or equals to 8 because 8 is the maximum need of this. And we can say here this is again true. So complete. Right? This one is completed. So again, so P1 will release how many resources? 3 resources. So total would be 5 plus 3, which is 8. So now we have 8 resources in our hand. I will go for P3, sorry, P2. So this is last one. So P2, see, P3 is executed, P1 is executed now. 1 minute. What happened here? No. Something is missing, I think. Okay. We'll go for the P4, sorry, P2. So P2 is what? P2 is having 4 allocated and 9 is the need. So we'll see here P2, 4 allocated and we have 8 in our hand. So this is 12 and this is again 12 is greater than equals to 9. So here we can see, can say this is true and complete. We can say. So now this is also executed, these two. So now what that safe sequence is? First executed this P4 here, P4, then P3, then P1 and P2. So safe sequences. We can write here what that question is asked here. Is system safe? So we can say that system is safe and that safe sequence is system is safe and safe sequence is, we can write here P4 first executed, then P3 executed, then P1 and then P2. So this is our answer. So if suppose you are having single instance, then we can solve that example using this one and we can say whether that system is in safe mode or not, and if it is so, then we can say the safe sequence, right? So I think This is for the single instance. I will go for the Banker's algorithm. If you understood this one, then that Bankers is again same. Only that resource number of the resources are different there, right? So that name Bankers algorithm is because this algorithm is mostly used in banking section, and it is also called avoidance or detection. Deadlock avoidance or deadlock detection algorithm, right? Because it avoids, because the whatever the information for the processes that is given here, so with that information we can avoid that the deadlock situation, and again we can find out, we can detect whether the system is in deadlock or not. So this is used in the avoidance and detection also, right? So here I'll just explain you this algorithm with example so that you will understand it very well. So that same kind of example I'll just take here. Okay. Uh, before writing this, the example, you can ask me if you are having any kind of doubt in the previous example. You can ask any doubt there in the previous example. See, we have suppose the three resources, and the total instances for the every resource as that is given. So like R1 resource, we can say, so for that the total instances are 10. For R2, so total instances are 5, and for R3, so total instances are 7. So this is given. So we have total instances in our hand, not in our hand. So total instances in all the instances are these, right? And also the allocation maximum need is given there. So we can see here, I'll just draw that same table over here. So allocation, we can say here, allocation, I just write here, allocation, then maximum need, then available, whatever is the current available, that again, and last is remaining need. Right? So consider, suppose P0, P1, P2, P3 and P4. These examples are given in that Galvin book also. So you can refer that Galvin book. Now see, we have three resources. Suppose R1, R2, R3, R1, R2, R3. And see here how we can find out that the remaining need. So we can say maximum minus allocation. So R1, R2 and R3. Right? So allocation is like 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 0, and 0, 0, 2. This is the allocation, and that maximum need is again given 753, then 322, 902, 422, and this is 533. See, sometimes this part is given and we need to calculate sometimes that available, current available. So when we can find out this current available, if you have suppose these kind of total, if this total is not given, then that current available will be given. And again, in final exam, they can say, so find out the need also, remaining need, right? So these kind of questions can ask, and after this, again, that say would be that system is in safe mode, and if so, then just find out the sequence also, right? This also can they ask. 1 minute. That question would be, is system in safe mode? If so, find safe sequence, right? So this might be question, or sometimes they can say find out the need also, right? So here this allocation is there, that total is there. So we can first calculate what the total number of the instances. So you just make the total of this first. So 2 plus 3, 5 plus 2, 7. So total allocated for R1 are 7 instances. Then 1 plus 1 is 2, and this 4 plus 1 is 5. Right? I'll just say here this also, right? Why we need to calculate this? Because the how many total allocated resources are there that we need to find out, so that whatever is total minus this, that will be the available. So current work or current available, we can say. So I'll say this is current work. First I'll write full current work, which is total minus total allocation. This is simple one. So we can say for the R1, total is for R1 is what? 10. So this is 10 minus for R1, this is the total allocation, minus 7, which is 3. And same for R2, total is 5 minus 2. So 5 minus 2, which is again 3. And for R3, so total is 7 minus 5, this is 2. So we can say this is 3, 3, 2. So just write here, the currently available are 3, 3, 2, right? And how we can calculate this need? So max and minus allocation. So max is what? This max need is this one, and allocation is this one. So we can say 7 minus 0, that is 7. Then 5 minus 1, this is 4. Then the 3 minus 0, 3. Right? Same thing 3 minus 2, this is 1. Then 3 minus 0, sorry, 2 minus 0, 2, and then 2. So in this way, you can calculate this need so that one answer would be there. So I'll just write here. Right. So this is for P1, P2, P3, sorry, P0, P0, P1, P2, P3, and for P4. So this is the remaining need table for all these four processes. Now this answer is complete. Now we need to find out the safe sequence, or we can say we need to again find out whether that system will enter into deadlock or not. Right. So here, so for this we need to use that Banker's algorithm. So Banker algorithm. So it is what this is need of I less than or equals to work. So if this is true, then we'll say work equals to work plus allocation. So this we have seen in the previous example also, right? Now we'll just go for the every process one by one. See, I'll not write all these kind of details, whatever the details we have just written into this. So simply I'll just write in short for this Banker's algorithm. You just understand what I just wanted to write there. Right? Now consider the P0 process. Right? So what is the need of the P0 process? 7, the 7, this 4, and then 3. This is need, and available is what? This one, we can say. Right? So 7, 4, 3, and you need to compare this. So this is actually false, right? Because this 7 is greater, this 4 is also greater, and this is also greater. We can say this process will not execute. Getting this? Now same thing for the P1. What is need? Here you can see 1, 2, 2. This is need, and the number of resources in our hand are 3, 2, 2. These are the available resources in our hand, and this is the need, right? Remaining need. So we can say here 1, 2, 2. This is need, and available are 3, 2, sorry, 3, 3, 2. It means this resource is smaller than this 3. This is again smaller than this 3, and this is again equal to this one. So we can say this is true, right? So this will complete this one. And once this process is complete, then whatever is that the resources it is holding, you can see here. So this 2, 0, and 0. So these resources will be released by this P1, right? You can see here this 2, 0, and 0. So these resources will be released by this P1 because this has completed its execution. Now we can add these resources into this 3, 3, 2, so that then whatever is the number that will be increased. So here I'll say, I'll write in short here. So this will be we have 332, and whatever the P1 process, that process has released the resources to 0, 0. So what is this? This is 5, 3, 2. And you can see here, I'll just use this one. This is completed. And now whatever is the availability that is been increased this one. So whatever is this number that you just consider total number of available resources in our hand for the execution of P3 or P2, you can see. So if you want to write this, you can write here also. So what is that? So 5, 3, 2. So you can write here. So now this is not there. This is, I'll just use this pen. 5, 3, 2. 5, 3, 2. Right? Or actually not required here to write. If you're writing the in the problem, that is again okay. Now we'll just go for P2 process. For the P2, the need is, maximum need is 6, 0, 0. You can see here. This is 6, 0, 0. And we have in our hand 5, 3, 2 now, because previously it was 3, 3, 2. Now currently we have 5, 3, 2. And if you say this, so this is again false. So this process will not execute, right? So we'll go for then P3. Now what is the maximum need of this P3? So this is 2, 1, 1, right? So here we can say 2, 1, 1, and which is less than or equals to 5, 3, 2. So this is actually true, and we can say complete this one, right? And we'll calculate this total number of the instances or resources in our hand that we are representing here by W. So whatever is that P3, this, how many hold? See, this P3 hold this 2, 1, and 1. So these will be released. This 2, 1, 1, these will be released. This is executed and this will be released. So now updated would be 5, 3, 2 plus that released are 2, 1, 1. So this is 7, 4, 3, right? So now these are the updated the resources in our hand. Now just go for the P4. So need of P4 is, you can see here, need of P4 is 5, 3, 1, right? So this is 5, 3, 1. Check which is less than or equals to 7, 4, 3. So this is less than 7, this is less than, and this is also less than. Okay, so this is true. So we can say true and complete. Complete its execution, this one. So again, whatever the resources hold by this P4, that P4 will be released, and which resources it's hold. So 0, 0, 2. So these resources will be released. Here we can say then, sorry, W is what? 7, 4, 3 plus 0, 0, 2, and this is 7, 4, 5. So now these are the updated resources. Okay. Now we'll just go for the 4 completed. Now which is not completed? P0 is not completed and P2 is not completed, right? So we'll go for P0. So P0 need is what? P0 need is 743. This one here you can see this is need, and the allocation is 010. Right? So P0. So need is 743, and check whether it is less than or equals to 745. So this is equal, and this is smaller. So we can say again this is complete, right? So again we need to update this. So it is, as I said, it is 010. These are the resources which that P0 will release. So 745 plus 010, and this is 755. These are the updated. Now this is executed. Now remaining is P2. Again we'll check P2. So P2 can see here for the P2, sorry, see I'll write afterward this P2, but P2 need is 600, and the resources are 302. These are the allocated resources. So you can see here 600, that is less than or equals to 755. So this 6 is smaller than 7. This is true and this is true. So we can say complete. And whatever is the total, so 755, and the available resources that this will release, these are 302. So this would be what? 7 plus 3, 10, 5 and 7. You can see whatever is this figure is matching with this. Where it is? This 10, 5, 7. So after just executing all these processes, all processes will release the resources, and this figure must match. So we can say this is in safe mode. So here, so we can say system is in safe mode, right? Therefore, safe sequence is what then? First executed P1, which executed first? P1 executed, this P1 executed, then P3, then P4, then P0, and plus P2, right? So that safe sequence would be P1, P3, P4, P0, and P2. So this is our safe sequence. You can see this is very simple thing if you understood the previous example. So this was the deadlock avoidance, right? So what's time now? It's 12. Okay. In 5 minutes, I'll just complete the next one, right? That is the deadlock detection and recovery. Detection already we have seen. So next, that is the fourth one. Let's take this. Deadlock detection and recovery. This is the last handling method, right? Now see, here first we need to detect that deadlock and then we can recover it. It means what? First we need to allow system in deadlock, right? And then we can detect it. This is the thing here. because we need to detect, because deadlock is happened there. Now just we want to detect the deadlock, right? So in this, first we need to detect. So how we can detect? So already we just discussed this one. That's why I'm not just going in detail again. So there are two algorithms there. With this we can detect it. The first method is like we can say resource allocation graph. With this again we can detect whether that the system is in deadlock case or not using this RAG graph, resource allocation graph. Or again we can detect it with find for, sorry, wait for graph. With this again we can detect the system or that detect the deadlock, and again we can use that banker algorithm. So already we discussed these three, so that's why I'm not going in detail. So first, when that suppose the deadlock is there, how we can detect it using this RAG graph, WFG, or we can use that banker's algorithm to detect it. That is the thing. Now suppose we have detected that, then how we can recover it? So recovery is very simple. To recover it, there are two approaches. One approach is that is very optimistic approach. Right? So here in this approach, what that main thing is preemption of resources and processes. And second approach that we can say here, pessimistic approach. So here we can say in this that process termination. Right? Process termination. So with these two approaches, we can recover the deadlock. So first optimistic approach means what? Suppose that the necessary condition for the deadlocks are that mutual exclusion is there, right? If suppose in mutual exclusion, what happens? Only one process at a time can use that resource. That is the thing into the mutual exclusion. But suppose if you are using that preemption of resources and sharing also, so if you use that sharing concept, then again we can avoid that deadlock, right? And also that one condition is the no preemption. No preemption. So no preemption means what? Once that process suppose allocates any resource, so that process will not release that resource till it completes its execution. That is the no preemption. But if suppose we are using that preemption concept, preemption means what? We can use any time quantum. So only for that particular time quantum, that process will use that resource. After just completing that time quantum, that process will release that resource. So that other process will get that resource. So with this again, we can just recover that deadlock, right? And the in pessimistic approach, we can understand here process termination. Yesterday also I just told you that process that the ignorance, right? So if suppose that system enters into the deadlock, so we can kill all the processes. This is one, or we can say about all the deadlock processes. So this is one. So we can abort all the deadlock processes, or we can say abort only one process, right? This also is possible there. Or we can say if suppose see in the about all the processes, what is the problem there? If suppose the P1, P2 and P3, these are the three processes. This is executed, suppose the 10%, and these two processes have completed that execution of 90%, consider. And now what we are doing here, we are aborting all the processes. So if you are aborting all the processes, then these two processes are just very close to complete that execution, but because of this process we are just aborting all the processes, right? So that is the problem with this again. And second one is, if suppose you are aborting only that particular process, like this process, only you want to abort that particular P1 process, but how do I find out that particular P1 process? It means again I need to call the detection algorithm. So it means for every the deadlock condition, and for that every process we need to call that detection algorithm. So this will create an overhead, right? This one. So that better solution would be what? Just select that process which is the very easy to abort, and depends on the some other criterias. Again you can select that process to abort. So the criteria is like, check the priority of that process. If that priority is very high, so then we cannot abort that process. Or again you can check that execution time of that, how much that execution time is left, or again the how many resources are there that process hold, right? That again you can check. So based on that again we can abort that process. So here we can use these two resources for the recovery, right? I think this is the enough for this, and this is end of the deadlock, we can say. So if you are having any kind of doubt, please you can ask me. Okay, so I'll just stop this sharing. So if you are having any doubt, please ask me. I'll just stop the recording first.